Alright, everyone, welcome back to the second and final segment. I may have said something about NFL earlier, but that's not going to happen due to some shortage of time going on. So we're just going to cut right to the chase, talk about a little bit of college basketball, some early player of the year projections, and some of the top players in this year's college basketball, NCAA, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Some of the top players this year include Andrew Wiggins, Jabari Parker, Julius Randle, Marcus Smart, Gary Harris. I'd even throw in Doug McDermott into that talk.
Doug, a lot of people thought Doug would be one of the people that went to the draft last year, especially Marcus Smart. They thought he'd be the first pick in the draft, maybe. But last year was a wild draft. No one knew. So, they had him. He's not going to go be first this year unless he has a balls out amazing year. But, he's still going to be a top 10 pick in this year's draft.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, there are some great players in this draft. We discussed this is one of the strongest draft classes
in a long time.
Right.
Yeah, you have the best prospect to many since LeBron James.
Andrew Wiggins, one of the most highly touted prospects since LeBron James, like you said. You've got the freshman class coming in this year that are just absolutely amazing, especially over in Kentucky, with Julius Randle and the Harrison twins. And then you have sophomores over there with Alex Poitras and Willie Cauley-Stein, who are just outstanding.
Yeah. Kentucky's hands down. They have probably the best lineup in not in Kentucky, but in the college basketball right now. And this could probably go up against their the lineup they had 2 years ago when they won the national title. So
right.
This is that one of their best teams they've had.
So we're just gonna jump right into it. Give me your top 5 college basketball players.
Alright, so the first couple are going to be easy to tell, and it's going to be obvious. You're going to have Andrew Wiggins, one of the, like you said earlier, the best prospects since LeBron James and a lot of eyes. From what I've seen from him this year, without a doubt, I'm not going to argue that. Some people have argued that, but I don't see their arguments. He has a lot of potential. He knows how to play the game, a very good IQ. He knows what to do in certain situations. And from what I saw in the Kansas Duke game the other night, when he was going up against someone else who will be on this list as well, he's very clutch. He knows what to do in clutch situations. He's a nice step back jumper, something that everyone could use in the NBA. So it's gonna be very interesting with him and how he will progress this year. Another one on this list is gonna be Jabari Parker from Duke. Apparently, I didn't know this, but he has a very good 3-point shot. Very good. Another one, Julius Randle. From watching the Kentucky game, very good post player. Honestly, one of the best post players in the country. I've seen at one point he was doing post moves on 4 players. So if you can do that you're pretty good.
Yeah.
2 more, Doug McDermott, very good player. And then last one is Marcus Smart, which I mentioned earlier, who could have been a number 1 pick last year if he went. One of the only good players. That's not the right way to say it. Pretty much like the only option of scoring on Oklahoma State. There's not much you can say about him, mainly because he is like one of those people no one really saw coming as this very good player.
Right.
And when I heard last year that people thought he could be first overall, I was like, really? And then looking at his stats, looking at what he was doing against players, I watched some highlight videos. I'm like, he had a legitimate shot. Shows up to not go last year, and he's staying for another year. I believe. Is this his senior year, or do you know that?
I'm not sure.
I don't know either, but he a very, 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 very good player.
All right, those are definitely good players in this college basketball this year. But I'm going to start at number 5. I'm actually going to say is Doug McDermott. I do believe he's the 5th best in this college baskbasketball season.
He's also one of those players where you didn't really expect going in that he...
Especially because he's from small school, from Creighton.
He's a lot like the Damian Lillard that we've had, and also the C.J. McCollum, who is also in Portland now. So maybe third time's a charm. Portland may be a funeral home for him.
And then I'm actually going to go with Gary Harris at number 4. I know Marcus Smart's a great player, but I do believe Gary Harris is an absolutely fantastic player. But the only problem with that is that he is around a star-studded cast in Michigan State with Adrian Payne, and I can't remember the point guard's name right now, but
it's not Valentine, but
Valentine is there too, but I can't remember the other.
I was pretending to be commentating the other night when I was watching the game, but I forget his name. I know his number, but not the name.
Then after that, I'm going to go with Julius Randle at number 3 for obvious reasons. At number 2, I will say Jabari Parker, and then, number 1 is the highly talented prospect Andrew Wiggins, because I mean, you just can't say much about Andrew Wiggins. He's just a LeBron James 2.0.
Yeah, you can't say he shows what he could do from what he does on the court. You can't really explain it. You just have to see it for yourself.
All right, we're going to give you right quick some NCAA championship projections. You want to go first, or you want me to go first on this one?
You go first. I went first last time.
All right, I'll go ahead and say that I believe that in this one, I think you have probably 4 teams that are in that running, which oddly enough, obviously enough, are the top 4 teams in the NCAA as of this past week. And that was Kentucky, Duke, Michigan State, and then Kansas. But strangely enough, I don't think Kansas will make it into the NCAA title game, and I don't think Duke will. I believe it will come down to Kentucky and Michigan State. And as much as it pains me to say it, because I hate Kentucky.
Yeah,
I hate Kentucky. I hate Duke. I really don't like Kansas. That's very opinionated.
Yeah, I don't blame you on this one.
I gotta say, Kentucky's got a great lineup. I think it'll be Kentucky, Michigan State, and I think Kentucky will win it all. Even though they just lost to Michigan State the other day. Michigan
State is a very good second best team in the nation. So it's not like they lost to some no-name school. They lost to a legitimate title contender.
Right.
It's not like when Kentucky lost to IU a couple years ago in that amazing game. Kentucky should have won that game, but IU got a very nice shot. So
the watch shot.
The watch shot. So my top 4 is gonna be a little different. I'm gonna stick with Kentucky and Michigan State. I'm gonna have Kansas and Duke. Not that I don't think they're very good teams. I just don't have confidence that they'll be able to. They have the top 2 teams. Top 2 players, but they're gonna have a bag in eventually, and I think that's gonna be the problem if it happens in the title picture. So if you move those 2 aside, one team I have is North Carolina, a team. Last time I checked, they were ranked 12th, but they were playing very good from what I've seen from earlier. I would say IU, but it's always a joke mentioning them. Yeah. Someone we didn't mention who is not really a top player, but a very good player. They had the 8th ranked prospect from this past year's class is Noah Vonleh, I believe that's how you say his name. He's a very good player. A power forward, not much of a shooter from what I've been watching their games, but he's very good inside. I think he's just having a little bit of issues with his shooting so far. So I'm not going to put them in. For the 4th and final team, I'm going to go with Louisville. Louisville still has a very good team.
Absolutely. Russ Smith leading that team.
Yes, and this is going to be that team that's leading the way. They lost Peyton Siva, Dieng, I don't know how to say his name.
Georgie Dieng.
Honestly, Kevin Ware, Mr. breaks his leg in a very important game.
I'm sorry.
I know. It's just when you bring it up, it's kind of like, man, the good old days. But, he's been playing very good since he came back from his injury. And I'm not saying he could be an NBA player, but he could be a very good player on that team. So Louisville's not as good as the team they had last year, but still a good team that could contend.
So your title projection?
It's gonna be Louisville, and not Kentucky. I'm gonna go Michigan State, and then I'm gonna go Michigan State with a win. So
there you have it. That's our college basketball projections. That's our show for today, for this week. So stick around, So watch us, subscribe to us, thumbs up, and we'll be back next week, I guess. I'm Max Holtzclaw.
And I'm Drew White.
Thanks for watching.
So long.